Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brent from Team Draw Better, and today we're back with another test hand video, and this time we're going to be covering Dark World. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. And without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it. So first things first, we're going to make sure our deck is nice and shuffled because this is a really draw-heavy deck, so we want as much consistency as possible. And for this video, I'm also only going to do 2 test hands. We're going to do one for going first and one for going second. Just because it is Dark World, these combos can take a long time. So I don't want to make the video too long for you guys. I just want to show you the basics of like going first versus going second. So we shuffled. We're going to have our opponent cut. And we're going to see what cards we get. So we get Rainbow, Allure of Darkness, Archives, Genta, and Called By. Okay, so this is pretty good because we have a way to get gates. We have Archives already, so we don't have to search it off of snow. We have a way to get more cards with Allure, and we have Ash Protection with... we actually have Ash or Droll Protection with Called By. So first thing I would do here is I would discard Genta to add Gates of the Dark World. So if your opponent decides to Ash this, which to be fair, it's a pretty good Ash target, Genta, we can just Called By. And in this scenario, we're going to say they use Ash on Genta, so we'll just Called By that. We don't care about using an Ash Blossom next turn because we don't run hand traps in this build. Hand traps in Dark World are bricks. So we're going to Called By the Ash that our opponent uses, and then Genta is going to search us Gates. So we'll grab Gates of the Dark World. Now, what we can do next, we can activate Archives to get ready to start our discard engine, and then we can activate Gates. Gates effect, we can banish the Genta, discard the Rainbow, draw a card, we get another Gates. That's perfect. So we can go... We have chains here. Because Rainbow was discarded, we can add a level 5 or higher Dark World monster, and because Genta was banished, he can special summon, so we can actually chain block the Rainbow by going chain 1 Rainbow, chain 2 Genta. So we'll special Genta, and then Rainbow is going to search us a level 5 or higher. And the one we're going to be searching is Silva. All right, so because we discarded a Fiend with a Dark World card, we can use Archives effect to draw or discard 1 card and then draw 2. So we can discard Silva and draw 2 more cards. And we get Gen the Diamond Tiger, and we get Versago the Destroyer. Okay, so Silva was discarded, so Silva gets to special summon. And one thing we can do here as well, we can bounce the Silva back to our hand and special summon the Rainbow, just to have a bigger body on board, just in case we can't really extend that much, but we're looking pretty good so far. So now what we can do, we still did not normal summon, and we just got Gen off of Archives. So what we can do here, we can normal summon Gen the Diamond Tiger. We're actually going to summon him over here, and we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to go effective Gen to summon Ken to our opponent's field. And when Ken is summoned to our opponent's field, his effect will trigger. Your opponent draws 2 cards and then discards 1 card. So we're going to draw 2. We got Dark Corridor and Danger Nessie, and then we can discard 1 card. So the card we're going to do, because we're going first, keep in mind, in this scenario, we said our opponent used an Ash Blossom to try to stop Genta. We had the Called By. So in this scenario, because your opponent has 4 cards left, we're going to discard the Silva. And Silva effect is going to trigger, but it's also going to get the bonus effect because Ken counts as an opponent's monster. So Silva is going to special back, but this time we're going to rip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand and put them back in their deck because he was discarded by an opponent's card effect. So now our opponent is down to 2 cards in hand, and we're going to find a way to get rid of those last 2. And the perfect way of doing so is going to be, let's see here. We're going to find a way to get to Ceruli. But first we have to get either another Rainbow or a Grapha Engrave to bounce this Silva to hand. So what we're going to do, first things first, we're going to activate Allure of Darkness to draw 2 and banish a dark monster, because we don't necessarily care about Nessie. Versago can be useful, but we also don't really care about him right now. So we're going to draw 2 and banish 1, and we get a Grapha, so that's even better. So in this scenario, because we have another Gates, we have Dark Corridor, I'm just going to banish the Nessie. So now what we can do, we can activate Dark Corridor to add a Dark World monster from deck to hand and then discard a card. So we're going to grab Ceruli, and then we're going to discard a card, and the card we're going to discard is Grapha. Grapha effect, when he's discarded, we can target 1 card our opponent controls and destroy it. We're just going to target the Ken to pop it, just to get rid of it. And then what we can do, whoops, forgot to move the Allure. We're going to activate another Gates. So Gates effect again. We're going to banish the... I actually do not have another Fiend Engrave, so we are going to have to... What we can do here, because I don't have another Fiend to banish Engrave, so what we can do here is we can link, just to get them off the board, we're going to link the Rainbow and the Genta away. And we're going to make a Muckraker. Now, Muckraker effect, we can discard, we can target 1 Fiend in the grave except itself, and then discard a card and special summon that target. So our target is going to be, let's say Grapha. We're going to summon Grapha and then discard a card. So we're going to discard Snow. Snow effect to add a Dark World card. And in this case, I think we're just going to grab a Session, because now what we can do, we can use the effect of Rainbow, bounce Silva back to our hand, special Rainbow. So we have 2 level 8s on board. We can go into an Xyz play, but what we are going to do instead is we're going to activate a Session, and because we're summoning a Dark World monster, we can also discard monsters as material. So we're going to banish the Grapha, and we're going to discard the Ceruli to make Grapha Dragon Overlord of Dark World. Now, because Ceruli was discarded, he'll special summon to your opponent's field in defense position, and then he will make us discard a card. And then the card we're going to discard is obviously going to be Silva. Again, this counts as an opponent's monster, so Silva's being discarded by an opponent's card effect. Silva will special summon, and then the last 2 cards are ripped out of their hand. So we're set up pretty good here, because if we wanted to, we could go Gates again. I didn't use it yet. Just for fun, we can. So we'll go Gates effect again real quick. We'll banish the Snow, discard Versago, and then draw a card. Okay, we got Salamander Catalyzer. That's okay. But your opponent, after this play, has no more cards in their hand, and we have a negate. So we're looking pretty good as far as winning the game. Even if your opponent draws, like, say, I don't know, Branded Fusion or like, for example, any sort of starter, we can just negate with Grapha because we have a card in hand to discard with. So that's it for going first. We've ripped our opponent's entire hand out of their hand and put it back into the deck, and then we're set up pretty well. So now we're going to shuffle these back into the deck, and I'm going to show you a test hand for going second. Now, going second for Dark World can be a little different because this deck can break boards, I want to say, relatively well. It's not always guaranteed, but if you get the discard engine going, then it's relatively easy. So we're going to shuffle up our deck again, and with the mindset of going second. All right, that's pretty good. Opponent's going to cut. All right, so going second, we're going to have Genn, Dark Corridor, Danger Nessie, Genta, and Rainbow. Okay, really good hand again. So, for the purpose of keeping things realistic, we're going to say our opponent has 3 pieces of interaction here. Okay? So, that being said, we are going to try to bait out a negate first. So, that being said, first thing we're going to start with, we're going to normal summon Genn. Genn effect to special Ken to their field. Now, if your opponent if your opponent knows what you're playing, then this is a viable imperm target, I would say, because you're still going to get you're going to draw 2 cards and discard 1 if this resolves, and if they know you're playing Dark World, that's insane. But we're going to say that they don't know what you're playing, so this is going to resolve. We're going to special a Ken to their field. Ken effect, we're going to draw 1 and discard, or draw 2, discard a card. So we're going to shuffle this up. And then our opponent can cut the deck for us. All right, so the 2 cards we're going to get. Danger Jackalope and another Genta. Okay, so pretty good. And I think the card we're going to discard is going to be Rainbow. Now, when Rainbow is discarded, we get to add a level 5 or higher Dark World monster. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to grab our Silva. All right, so our opponent now knows what we're playing because we discarded the Rainbow. Because Ken again is sort of just an engine. So that being said, we're going to try to bait out an Ash Blossom. Because Genta's discard is not once per turn. So we're going to discard Genta to add Gates of the Dark World. And we're going to say our opponent stops this here. So they either Ash Genta or they negate Genta. Again, pretty viable target. It gets the field spell that gets all of your plays going. But luckily, we do have another Genta. So we're going to discard this Genta and grab a Dark World. Gates of the Dark World. So we'll add Gates. All right. Now, let's say your opponent has a couple monsters on board besides Ken as well. We can clean those up pretty easily or bait out a negate to let our plays go through. So what we can do there is we can activate Dark Corridor to add a Dark World monster from deck to hand, then discard a card. And what we can do there is we can add Grapha. And then we discard a card. We'll discard Grapha. Grapha effect when he's discarded to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. So you can either get rid of back row or any monster that can be destroyed. So that can help clear up your opponent's board a little bit. Next, what we can do, we can activate Gates. And then what we can do is before we go with Gates, actually no, we are going to go with Gates first. So Gates effect, banish the Genta, discard Silva, draw a card. We get another Dark Corridor. Silva effect when he's discarded and Genta effect when he's banished. Both get to special summon. So Silva will come out and Genta will come out. And now we can use Grapha to bounce back Silva, special summon, and we can use Rainbow to bounce back Genta and special summon him as well. So what we can do here, because Dark Corridor is only once per turn, but we don't necessarily want to get rid of it, we can set Dark Corridor sort of as a bluff, and then we can use either Danger Nessie or Danger Jackalope. I think we're going to use Nessie, so we're going to go Nessie effect, reveal, and then we're going to discard one of these cards. We're going to shuffle them up because we're trying to play this a little realistic here. Okay, so here's our hand. We're going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as a reroll for what gets discarded. A 2, so we're going to go with this, and it's a Genta. So Genta gets discarded, and then Nessie gets to special summon, and then we draw a card off of Nessie. We get a Called by the Grave. Okay. So our opponent has one other monster on board that we're trying to get rid of. So I would say the one thing that we want to do here is we want to try to just spin it or destroy it or just clear up their board as much as possible. So what we can do here is we can first use Jackalope's effect. Shuffle these up again. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. So we discard a Silva. Okay, that's not bad. Special the Jackalope. So Jackalope will let us draw a card, and we get a Grapha. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any room for Silva to special summon because he was discarded. But that's not necessarily the end of the world because we can link summon and go into just to clear up the board again. We can go into Nightmare Unicorn, and we can use Jackalope, Nessie, and Gen. Summon Nightmare Unicorn. Unicorn effect, discard a card, and then we're going to target the other monster our opponent controls and return it to the deck. And then because we discarded Grapha, Grapha can destroy any other card on the field that they have. So a set card, another monster. But yes. So that's essentially not all we can do. We don't have lethal. However, we can set up some extra protection for our opponent's follow-up turn. Excuse me. So what we can do there is we can overlay Rainbow and Grapha because they're 2 level 8s. And we can make number 38. So number 38 is the spell trap negate. And we can also set the called by that we had from our hand. So after this, we can go to battle phase and we can swing for a total of 5,200 attack. Actually, sorry, they still have the Ken. So we would actually only be dealing 3,000 if we swung at it with Unicorn. But we're still doing 3K. We have Spell Trap Negate. We have a Called by the Grave. We have the Dark Corridor set just for a bluff. We're going to shuffle this up again and cut, because we're going to say we're going to pass to our opponent. They draw. Let's say it's a... let's see. I'm going to say it's a Nightmare Throne. So we are going to negate that, obviously, with number 38. And then our opponent has nothing else, so they're going to pass back to us. And we're going to draw for turn. And it's a Rhoda. Okay. So, not the best, but I mean, we can go in for lethal now because we did 3K last turn. But just to get a little more reinforcement, if you will, we're going to flip the Dark Corridor to add. Add the Snow. And then discard the Snow because of Corridor. Snow effect. Add a Dark World card. We're going to add a Session. Now, we're going to activate a Session to fuse. Just banish the Snow and the Grapha. And we'll summon out the Fusion Grapha again. And then we can just go in for game, because we're sitting pretty good because we still have our Spell Trap Negate and we have our other monster negate. Or Spell Trap Negate. But yeah, I would say you're set up pretty well after that. After that, you just go in for game, because 3K, 32, actually boosted by gates, so Fusion Graph is 35. So 3K, 35, and then 22 with Unicorn. You're well over game with that. But I think that is going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I was able to show you sort of the routes to go just to keep your draw engine alive in the Dark World deck. I am currently building a hat format version of this deck. If you guys are interested in seeing that, please let me know in the comments down below, because that version of the deck is so much fun. I can't believe how much fun I'm having with that version of the deck. Hat format is a lot slower than regular format, but regardless, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See ya.